Well, talk. Cause I'm sitting here in this great-looking room, and you're talking about Arwen and fairies and all this stuff around you. I just want to ask you, how much is does whimsy and kind of your own personal kind of fun go into everything you do at this point in your career? The creative side of things.
You mean in my life?
In your life and in your music, how much does that reflect just everything you do day to day?
Well, I was a very imaginative child, you know. I was always daydreaming, and I still do all the time. It's very much a part. Maybe we should start over, because for some reason I'm having a frog moment.
Oh.
Can I just get a drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope everyone's getting over that. When you have a little daughter who goes to
Don't
preschool,
get it.
Oh, God, and sinus infections and all that stuff. But
It's hell.
Yeah. On a lighter note.
Sorry about that.
Just your creativity and your whimsy and how you...
Yeah, big daydreamer, you know, big daydreamer. You have to be a daydreamer to try to pursue a career in this business, because it's insane. It's like, my husband always says, it's like going to somebody and say, will you pay for my dreams? You know, it's insane to think that you can actually, you know, work in this business, because it requires a certain amount of whimsy to even imagine that you could do it, you know. And I've always just kind of thought, well, I can't do anything else, you know. I have to do something creative. And I was born that way. And in my family, too.
Yeah.
They're all artists.
How does that work for you, balancing that with the commercial side of things and with, you know, with major labels?
I'm not good at it.
Stuff?
I'm not good at it. And, you know, the thing about it is, when I was on a major label, I wasn't really good at it, because I didn't really know how to deal with business people, because I have nothing in common with them. And I've found that over time I've been able to trust certain people and just sort of let them have the reins business-wise. And then I just sort of make myself available when it comes time to, you know, sing, write.
Not giving up any of that kind of thing, always doing your own thing. When is that independence a good thing? Granted, you probably can do things any other way, but when has that ever been a detriment to when you're going to take another couple years to write an album because you're doing things your way? Period?
Yeah, well, I've learned how to be prolific, because I never was before. I would always take my sweet time. But the older you get, the more you realize, well, wait a minute, I only have so much time to you know, accomplish these things, personally and professionally. So I've learned how to step it up a little bit, you know, and just kind of keep the inspiration alive as much as possible. And it doesn't always mean following your artistic specifications exactly. Sometimes you have to think, well, I need to address the fans now, you know, because we have a relationship that's very important, you know, and they're not always ready to sort of tackle my big creative scope, you know, and sometimes I need to just bring it down to earth a little bit. And, you know, so sometimes for me, that's a wonderful gift, because I can get back to the joy of just singing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this incredible birth process of this, you know, this ambitious artistic project that's all up here, you know, that I have to get out, you know, or else I'll die. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of keeps it a little bit more real.
Yeah.
There they are.
They're real. Last time we talked, we were in the middle, I think it was a 2-night stand at the Roxy, and you were talking about how, seeing the fans again for the first time in a while, just how energetic they were and how kind of rabid they were.
I love my fans.
Yeah,
they're so awesome. You know, they've been with me for so long, and they've gone through all the twists and turns and all the different types of music and all the different records, you know, and sometimes they go away for a while, but they usually come back and they bring a couple friends. And I mean, if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have any kind of career. Because especially being independent now, I mean, when you're young, you should always be on a major label, because they can get you out there, they can get you on tour, you know, and then you can sort of, you know, you can gather your following together. But when you're older, for me, I love being independent, because I don't have to answer to anybody. But I wouldn't be able to do it if I hadn't spent that time on Geffen for all those years, and been able to have this wonderful collection of fans now who are, you know, I keep in touch with and will be there for me.
Talk about balancing that your own muse and doing what you want to do now that you're independent, but also paying attention to the fans. Not everyone ever does that in their career. How much, in terms of your musical direction, do you listen to what the fans want, or do you think this album's been talked a lot about as a return to form? Do you think, ooh, the fans are going to like this sound I used to do? How much of that do you think about?
I think it's important, and I do think about that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the last couple of albums I've made have been, like I said, very, very personal,
Yeah.
very important to me creatively. I've gained some new fans with that music, and some of my older fans are kind of just biding their time a little bit. And, you know, it's a balancing act. I have to be able to do both. Because if I'm not inspired, you know, then the fans won't react anyway, because if they, you know, they can always tell
Mm-hmm.
if you're just going through the motions, you know. But with an album like this, I was able to balance. My husband was very careful in the production, that we stuck with it really sort of, you know, this raw, emotional production, very vocal, and yet keeping it sort of stripped down and simple enough lyrically and musically to attract some of the fans who've maybe taken a break for a while.
Yeah, because you brought a lot of the emotion from some of the maybe more theatrical albums to this kind of sound. It's kind of a
Yeah,
great,
it's a good bridge, I
good
think.
mix, yeah. Do you see it as a return to form? Was there a form as far as you're concerned, or was that something always just?
No, I think the form is just, you know, for me it's a certain kind of vocalist who expresses a certain kind of emotional range, you know, and that's the form that I'm always attracted, you know, trying to express, you know, and it's, and also, you know, trying to be true in the songs, and, you know, be honest and as much as possible.
Yeah.
So.
Is it nice that you come back to maybe rootsier kind of music after showing people that you could do lots of other things? Was there a sense of that? Like, that's not all me, so that you've shown people you could kind of...
No, I don't think for me that was just like, ooh, look what I can do over here for a minute. Ooh, yeah. I think for me that's always going to be there. It's very much a part of my references growing up, you know, classical music and theater, and it's all there, you know. It's always going to be there. My older brother was my biggest musical influence, and his favorite composers were Stravinsky and Leonard Bernstein. So, you know, it's always going to be there. It's never going to go away. I need to channel it maybe a little bit differently. Like, I've written a musical, so that I can sort of access the theatrical, you know, sort of references a little more in a more sort of direct way. And because of that, I'm able to sort of get that out of my system, and then come back and do something a little bit more, you know, homespun.
Mm-hmm. And stripped down and just playing rock in a lot of it. Is that just a joy for you, just to kind of just rock? Is that kind of at the heart of what you do?
Yeah, I mean, I think this album is rocking, but it's also, you know, it could be me just sitting in a room, you know, playing the guitar and singing, and, you know, it has a real intimacy. I'm looking forward to this tour because I have a great band. I mean, it's my favorite band. I love this band. And, you know, I'm looking forward to this tour because I think it's going to be fun, you know. I mean, there'll be the intensity and all of that the fans expect. But I think it's also going to be, it's going to be fun to just relax into these songs, you know, in a natural sort of a way.
Working closely with your husband, how does that work in terms of lyrically, dealing with all kinds of romantic things, personal things, and also musically, just the whole work ethic of the two of you together?
Oh, man.
Put into words what that's like.
It's a real challenge, I have to be honest. I mean, it's fantastic because we if we weren't married, we'd be colleagues anyway, because we have so much in common artistically. We can watch a movie and say the exact same things about it, what we liked about it, what we didn't like about it. We can go to a museum and see a collection and say exactly the same thing about what we see. It's odd when you meet somebody like that, where you just see everything on a certain level. And sometimes we feel like it's us against the world, because, you know, we are very insular, and we have our own standards that are quite pristine, and we tend to be pretty hard line about following them. And I thank God for that, because He challenges me as well. And but as far as, you know, being married and working together, you know, we have to learn how to sort of budget our time away from each other and make sure that we give each other space. And but I think it's fantastic, because otherwise, if I had to go on tour and leave him at home, I think it would just be a huge drag, because you want to be with your best friend. You know.
And in the actual recording process, when it's the two of you and obviously some other collaborators as well, what is that? How does that work day to day in terms of how much of it is two of you nonstop going together, or do you guys take months apart doing your own thing?
Jimmy does almost everything.
Yeah.
This last record, you know, he engineered it, mixed it, mastered it, did everything, and so availed myself to him when it was time to sing, play acoustic guitar, play piano, whatever. And he's very good about capturing a mood. He will see me day to day, and he'll say, "Ooh, whatever mood she's in right now, because there's many of them, that's going to be good for this song. So come on in the studio, let's sing a couple, takes." So it's great. We can be totally spontaneous because our studio's at home.
Right.
So, so he can accomplish what he wants to accomplish as far as getting whatever he needs out of me. And then I pretty much just let him have it, Just let him go and finish it up and do whatever he wants with the band, brings in the guitarist, has him fill it out.
Mm-hmm.
There's other albums where I'm more involved, where I'm writing string lines and really involved in the production.
Mm-hmm.
But with this album, I knew he had a vision, and I just completely trust him.
Yeah. And some of these songs have been with you for a long time, right?
Yeah. They were sitting around, and they were too good to be sitting around.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, the fans will like these. I need to get this album made.
How much of these songs have you performed live years past?
Yeah, I have actually a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good. Kind of cleaning out the closet, but also having some really good things in there.
Mm-hmm. Working so close with your husband, but you've worked with some of the biggest people in the industry over the years, and maybe I don't know if you want to throw some names out, but you've been around a long time and worked with some of the best in the business. How has that affected everything you've done in the past, and have you kind of walked away from that? Are you comfortable just really doing your own thing?
Sort of the rock and roll Norma Desmond, you mean?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I kind of am, I suppose. I go to Interscope and everything stands still. That's like visiting C.B. DeMille and seeing Jimmy Iovine again. No, I've learned so much. I'm so grateful for the experience and the time that I've had in this business. I mean, I have seen some of the greatest artists perform. I've been in the studio watching people record. I've worked with Jimmy Iovine. I've worked with great producers, Mitchell Froom. And I've learned a lot. But when it comes to having the freedom to work at your own pace and to develop your own tastes, I think that there's something to be said for having a more insular environment and to really only answer to yourself, and also to have a good pulse as far as the fans are concerned on what they're about.
Speaking of the fans, how many letters do you get over the years, or emails, or things from young musicians, maybe more specifically female, that they kind of admire what you do and kind of mold their careers after you, and what do you tell them in terms of advice or things along those lines? How much of that?
It's hard to give advice, and I'll tell you why, because everybody has their own moment where they're following a certain path where it may not be the best path for their career or even for their art, but they need to get through it, and I had the same experiences where I was following a path where I could have gone a different way and maybe had a different outcome, but it's like it's all important, to get to where you have to get to, So I've had friends that I see in the in the business doing things, making mistakes, whatever. I don't say anything. It's not my business really to say anything.
Yeah.
You just have to live and let live, and you learn so much from your experience, good or bad.
Yeah.
So I don't really give advice.
Yeah. Talk about, you still live in the middle. You grew up in LA. You're here in the middle of LA. I know you travel the world probably a lot, but how much is important for you to be here right in the center of things too? How much does this affect your music and different things you do?
It's just it's by default, I grew up here. If I hadn't grown up here, if I wasn't fifth generation Californian, I would probably not live here. I'd probably live in New York or London or, but it's just one of those things. I'm 5 generations deep.
Yeah.
Like, I can't get away. I've tried. I've moved. I've lock, stock, and barrel moved. Taken everything and gone across the globe. And I come back.
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, I love LA, I love to do this, and it really when I go here, it makes me want to write songs. It's not like that at all. It's just, this is where, this is where I live. Yeah. And if I lived somewhere else, I'd write songs there. So. But I have to say, I love the beach. Swimming in the ocean, high on my list, so that's a good thing.
talk about this album in terms of how proud you are of this, and now you have a number of solo albums at this point. It's kind of, I don't know if it's eclipsed your earlier career in terms of an output, but how proud are you of what you've done with this and how it stands up
This
to
album?
your catalog? Yeah.
It's all, for me. It's a body of work, you know, and it's something to be proud of. I have to admit, I am proud of my body of work. You know, and I think this album is you know, it's a nice addition to the collection. You know, so yeah.
There's certain songs that mean a lot to you more than any others on this album that you kind of can pinpoint as that's kind of what this album is about.
Let me think for a minute. I really like Turn Away because there's a simplicity to the lyric that usually eludes me as a writer. I tend to be very wordy, especially. And there's something about the simplicity in the lyric and the way the vocal connects to that shows a certain maturity that maybe I hadn't really approached before. And because of that, I think, and also in the production and the intimacy of the way the vocals were recorded, it all came together in a really nice way. You know, that's the wrong word, but I'm proud of it because I think it does show a certain maturity that maybe I hadn't expressed before on different albums.
And your voice never sounded as amazing. What do you do to keep? Is it a matter? Are you just been lucky
Absolutely
to keep
nothing. I don't practice. I don't rehearse. I don't vocalize. I don't blah, 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 none of that stuff. I just open my mouth. It's crazy. I cannot sing for 6 months and pick up a guitar. You know, occasionally before a tour, of course, I'll sing along to records and around the house, or you know, and I warm up before I go on stage. But I'm lucky. I've had problems in the past. I have good doctors, and you know, so just lucky, I guess.
Was there a time when you were in school where people said you had to do this to keep your voice, or certain
in
things
school?
you threw away? We were talking earlier about how you were in the drama program and did theater and stuff like that. Were there certain things that you thought you had to do to maintain a voice or maintain anything that you kind of discarded after that?
Well, I never had. I tried to have formal music lessons when I was young. Every kid takes some sort of music lesson, you know, and I threw it all out because I can't comprehend mathematic sort of schemes. I just don't have that kind of a brain. I hear everything, and I can play it by ear, play the piano and the guitar, and sing and do harmonies and all that. I have to be honest, sometimes I wish I had gone to school and I wish I'd learned music theory. But you know, when you decide to go into pop music, you sort of have to really throw all that out in a way, and just sort of follow your instincts musically. But as far as vocally, you know, there's been times when I've struggled, and I've gone to a coach who helped me use my breath differently, which makes a difference. But I don't really think about it.
Sure.
I probably should. You know.
Well, it's working, whatever you're doing. I wouldn't worry about it. Lastly, you mentioned going into pop music. Just talk about how you fit at this point into the pop world. Because obviously you're putting an album out there, and you want people to, you know, and your fans want to broaden the fan base. How do you see yourself in the world of pop music these days?
I'm sorry for laughing, but I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. I don't even know what's going on, quite frankly. I don't know what's going on, like, in the alternative scene. I don't, you know, I watch TV, so I get to see American Idol and the Ashley Simpson show, you know, and I know what that is.
Yeah.
Do I fit into any of that? No, not really. I would love to have a career like Katie Lang, where I could play Carnegie Hall with an orchestra.
Yeah.
I think that would make all my Christmases come true, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I have certain people that I admire who are really working away, you know, like Loretta Lynn, just did that cool kind of crossover record, and Emmylou Harris. I worship her.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I don't know. That's a funny question. But maybe that's good. I don't.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. All right, thank you, man.
Okay. Okay. Just let me know when you want me to sing.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Damn the words, I've said too much again. You think I would learn by now? And when I hurt you, it just tears me all to bits. You think I would learn by now? All my labor is in vain, but I'll beg just the same. If you turn away, if you turn away, if you turn away, oh honey, please stay. Why am I the one to wear the blame? I guess I do it with panache. To talk it over now would only be a strain. With our hearts lost in all this trash. And when the refuse starts to burn, who'll be here when you return? If you leave me now, if you turn away, if you turn away, oh honey, please stay. That's a short version. Is that okay?
Wow, perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
That
I
was,
figured you wouldn't want the full.
that was great.
Okay. Lamb chops tonight. Lamb chop. Come on. You're gonna do it. Lamb chops tonight.